Have you ever noticed how much pressure there is today to be a good man, right? It's everywhere. Be polite, be agreeable, be safe, be acceptable, right? And let's be honest, most of the time when someone says he's a good man, what they really mean is he doesn't cause problems. He keeps his head down. He fits he fits the mold, right? But here's the thing. A good man in today's culture isn't the same thing as a real man. And if you don't know the difference, you will waste years and maybe even decades trying to earn a title that will never give you the respect, fulfillment, or purpose that you're craving. Hey man, I'm Kyle. I'm a master NLP practitioner and a master success coach for men who are tired of performing and ready to start leading their life. Now, I have helped you out with this by putting free resources for you in the description, so check them out. So, in this video, I will uncover 5 ways that you can stop being a good man and start being a real one. And really, the last one is probably not what you think. So, let's get right into it. Let's look at the trap of the good man. The good man identity is all about external validation. It's performance. It's checking the boxes, providing for the family, don't upset anyone, show up for work. Excuse me. Keep your opinions in, you know, unless they're safe. And for a lot of men, this starts young, most always before the age of 7. Yes, you heard me right, before the age of 7. We were told to be nice. We were taught to prioritize approval over truth. Some of us even watched, our fathers and uncles and other male role models keep the peace by staying silent. And we assumed that's what manhood looks like because that's what was modeled to us. So historically, this wasn't always the case, though. In tribal cultures, a man's role wasn't to be, good by today's standards. It was to be, authentic, to protect, to lead, to speak truth, even when it was unpopular. The men who were respected, excuse me, weren't the ones who made everyone comfortable. They were the ones who carried responsibility with integrity, even if it cost them. So here's the problem why good fails. When you're focused on being good, you end up avoiding conflict, which means you avoid truth. And most of the time, it's your truth. You bend so much to fit what others want that you lose the shape of who you are. You keep the peace on the outside while resentment really builds on the inside. And over time, that resentment turns into distance from your partner, from your kids, and really even from yourself. So I've worked with men who really have lived this way for over 20 years. And the thing they tell me is always the same. They say, I did everything I was supposed to do, and I still feel empty. And it's hard to hear every time because listen, to me, the good man mask, it's rooted in fear. It's not rooted in your values. It's the fear of being rejected, the fear of being seen as too much, the fear of stepping into conflict and being misunderstood. So this is the real man difference. A real man isn't worried about being good by someone else's definition. A real man is rooted in truth, in his grounded, values, right? And because of that, he can do something that the good man can't. He can lead. So let me give you some examples, right? A good man. A good man avoids the hard conversations to keep everyone happy, right? A real man, though, um, he has those hard conversations because he knows short-term discomfort leads to long-term trust. A good man says yes when he means no to avoid tension. A real man says no when it's the right call. And even if that call is unpopular or if it costs him approval, okay, a good man waits for permission to lead. A real man sets direction and then really invites others, to join him. So, throughout history, the men who changed the world were rarely considered good in their own time. So, think of men like Winston Churchill. He was criticized for being blunt, uncompromising, and even arrogant. Yet, his clarity and resolve helped lead a nation through a war. Or think of a leader like Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who wrote about self-discipline, virtue, and justice, but also he made unpopular decisions for the greater good, right? These men weren't perfect. We've spoken about perfection. It doesn't exist. But these men weren't trying to be palatable either. They were trying to be true. And that's the shift that you need to make. So, I get asked a lot, why do most men never make this shift? It's really simple, right? Because stepping into being a real man means letting go of that safety net. When you stop chasing good, you stop playing by that unspoken rule that, keeps everyone comfortable. Now, people might push back, some relationships might change. You even might get called names. And that's exactly why most men stay in that good role. It's safer, it's predictable, but it's death. So, how do you stop being a good man and become a real one? So, I've identified 5 ways that you can do this on your own, and you can even start today. These are simple things that you can do, and they're really life changing, right? So the first one is you really need to define your non-negotiables. Okay. So if you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. I'm sure you've heard that before. And if you haven't, you're welcome. I even think there's a song written about that too. Like I think it's a country song. Not really, not really sure. But most men have actually never sat down and asked themselves, what's worth fighting for in my life? What values am I willing to lose people over? Or what people am I willing to lose to keep the values that are important to me? Because a man without non negotiables is like a ship without a rudder. He goes wherever the current and wind pushes him. You pick up your dad's values, society's values, your partner's values, and really before you know it, you're living somebody else's life. A real man gets clear on his own. He can say, this is what matters to me. This is the hill I'll die on, right? Not because someone told him to, but because he decided it for himself, right? And when you know this, you stop bending every time life pushes you. So the second one is tell the truth, right? So you want to know where your masculine power really begins. It's not in your muscles, it's not in your bank account, it's not in how many people like you, right? It begins with telling the truth. First to yourself, which is really the hardest part, right? Most men can't even look in the mirror and admit they're unhappy or that they've been lying to themselves about, what they really want. And until you tell the truth to you, every truth you try to tell to the world It'll be, watered down. And and when you start speaking it to others, your voice might shake, you might offend someone, people might leave. But here's the thing, every time you tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, you build trust within yourself. And that trust is confidence. That presence, that masculine strength. Hey, just a brief interruption from your video to tell you about a fantastic opportunity. Do you ever feel like you're doing the work, but nothing's actually shifting? Like you're journaling, meditating, watching all the videos, but still circling the same patterns. It's not because you're broken. It's because the shift doesn't happen in isolation. You don't need more information. You need activation. The Inner Shift Society is the space where that happens. 2 1-hour calls a month, live on the second and fourth Tuesday. One call to learn and one call to coach. For just $17 a month, you're not just joining a group, you're stepping into momentum. We get into real work. This is belief rewiring. This is about nervous system work, decision making, identity, and ownership. Now, this would normally cost you $500 for 2 hours with me. I'm not going to make you pay $500 though. I'm offering this because I want to help and reach more people that know there is something more. People like you, and you just don't know where to start. This is your entry point. You're one shift away from who you've been trying to become. This is your space to make it real. Come join other like-minded people, much like yourself. Click the link in the description and join us inside the Inner Shift Society. And now, back to our video. So the third one I want to talk about is to lead without permission. So, you know, it's sad really, but too many men are waiting for someone to say, "Okay, now you can lead." Guess what? No one's coming to hand you a crown. Leadership isn't given, it's claimed. And claiming it doesn't mean bossing people around. It doesn't mean forcing your way. It really means, having a vision, standing in it, and then really inviting others in to follow. Think about it. If you hesitate every time a decision needs to be made, someone else will step into that role. And 9 times out of 10, it's not the person who should be leading. I'm sure you've seen that. Stop waiting for the right moment, or the right words. You make the call. You take the first step. You own the outcome. That's that's leadership, right? So the fourth one, stop chasing approval. So really, here's the fastest way to lose respect. Live for everyone else's approval. When you operate from your values, you will lose some people, and that's just, you know, that's not only just okay, it's necessary. Those, really those are not your people. I've lost people in my life, and that's fine. Because when you stop chasing approval, you start attracting the right people into your life. The ones who respect you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. Approval chasing is really exhausting. You'll bend and twist and compromise until you don't even recognize yourself. But the moment you say, "This is who I am, and I'm okay with you not liking it," everything shifts. Your energy changes, your confidence changes. People feel it, even if they don't like you now, because of it, they will have no choice but to respect you and your decision. So the last one I want to look at is really build, an inner stability. right? So a real man doesn't lead from panic. When when you're reactive, when every little storm throws you off, no one can trust you to hold the line. That's why inner stability is everything. You build it by regulating your own nervous system, practicing stillness, right? And learning how to breathe through discomfort instead of running from it. Because in life, storms, they are inevitable, you know. Your woman will have emotional waves. Your business will have pressure. Life life will absolutely test you. But, if your presence is shaky, the people around you can't relax. They'll either take over your role or stop trusting in your leadership. But when you're steady, your presence says, no matter what's happening, I'm here. I'm not moving. I've got this. That's when people really lean in. That's when the feminine softens. That's when your leadership becomes magnetic, right? So look around today, right? We have a crisis of leadership because too many men are trying to be good instead of real. We have men who don't speak up at work when they know a decision is wrong. Men who are emotionally absent at home because they think, providing is enough. Men who are afraid to set standards in their relationships because, they might get called controlling. And then we wonder why the feminine doesn't trust the masculine anymore. It's, it's really because too many men are showing up as safe, agreeable, and really forgettable. So here's the bottom line I want to leave you with. Okay. Being a good man might win you points in the short term, but being a real man will build your trust, respect, and legacy over a lifetime. So let me ask you, are you living as the man you think everyone wants you to be? Or are you living as the man you were built to be? Because the world doesn't need more good men. It it needs more real ones. So if this landed with you, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. Share this with a fellow brother who might need to hear it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified whenever I release a new video. And like I said before, I have free resources below that will help you start rebuilding from the inside out. These are tools that work, built for men just like you. So hit subscribe for yourself, grab the tools, and reach out. Give me a follow too on social media. Links are in description. Remember, you're not broken, you're becoming. I'll see you on the next video. Stay strong, brother.